For Africa's economy to grow, it needs a resilient, inclusive, and innovative financial sector. AFIS promotes a shared understanding among public authorities, including governments, regulators, and development finance institutions and private sector leaders, banks, insurers, mobile money operators, and fintech innovators of the trends and risks shaping the continent's financial industry. By facilitating open dialogue and collaboration, AFIS enables the identification of opportunities for improvement, whether through regulatory reforms or market-driven initiatives. At the Africa Financial Summit, AFIS 2025, discussions focused on how to activate African capital at scale for African purposes. Joining us on the show to discuss ways to mobilize African capital and highlights from the AFIS annual summit is Amir Ben Yahmed, CEO during Afrique Media Group. Good morning and most welcome to the morning show.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. All right, so this year's theme focused on mobilizing African capital. Why is this message so crucial today?
This was our fourth edition of the Africa Financial Summit, and the interest for getting a real Africa financial services is growing. We've reached 1,200 participants this year coming from all over Africa, banks, fintech, insurance, and around 40 regulators, including 11 central bank governors. And it shows really the interest in creating an Africa financial markets. And that's the theme that we wanted to gather them around this year. It is how to use African money for African growth. We know all the context that exists. We have a global aid drying up. We have banks getting out, international banks getting out. And at the end of the day, we need to find solution to keep attracting capital or gathering capital. And what's best in this moment where we collectively understand that sovereignty for Africa is very important, that to focus on getting African capital, we have around $500 billion of saving a year. We need to make sure that we can keep collecting them, and most importantly, try to improve regulation so that this capital can flow freely towards African projects in infrastructure, in the private sector, et cetera, et cetera. So that was the main theme of this year, African capital for African growth.
Fantastic. And I mean, indeed, it has been encouraging to see a positive trajectory with regards to African money financing, African capital financing, African projects, especially through the various multilateral organizations. But let's look at the panel of the central bank governors. And this panel offered a unique perspective on the continent's financial outlook. Can you give us a little bit more detail about the key takeaways from that panel?
Yeah, one of the most interesting thing I think is the change of positioning from central bank governors. It's we have created the Financial Summit as a public-private dialogue platform to create a ongoing discussion between regulators and actors of the industry. The idea of being let's talk about regulatory issues. So that we can liberate growth. And we've seen slowly since the first edition, a change of position from the central bank governors, where they not only want to be captain of the macroeconomic boat, it's their usual mandate, managing inflation, but they see themselves also as actors of change by also steering money towards productive sectors by doing new frameworks for banks to, for example, lend more to the private sector, lend more to the agriculture, etc. So they want to have a more and more active role in the growth of the country. So that's a real change in position from a traditional central bank perspective. And the other issue that we found very interesting during this forum is the way they embrace technology. They're still, of course, very cautious, but because we have to understand that central bank governors role is to make sure that the security, the regulation, and there's no fraud, et cetera, but they're embracing technology at a very rapid pace, and they see themselves, even if I think from a personal standpoint that there's some improvement to make, especially regarding their outlook towards fintech, et cetera, but they more and more see themselves as agent and change for innovation. So these evolutions are very interesting for the future, and it really is let's say a symbol of how the two sides, private sector and regulators, are converging.
Well, Mr. Ahmed, let's talk about AFIS. Now, AFIS has positioned itself as a true laboratory of solutions for African finance. In your view, what are the possible next steps to strengthen this impact and ensure that the summit continues to evolve in the coming years to support the long-term transformation of the continent's financial sector? We've been having this conversation now for a number of years, 3, 4, 5 years, I can remember. Now, what are the next possible steps?
You've very well underlined that we've been having this conversation for 4 years now, but we are very happy with the way it goes, because we see a converging interest between all stakeholders in the industry to make the industry move forward. We've seen a lot of positive developments. We have created a supervisory council that is now chaired by the former central bank governor of Kenya, which gathers 30 members, prominent members of the industry, from the banking industry, insurance industry, the institutional investors, asset managers, where we collectively look at how we set the agenda of the annual summit, but also how we identify the policy improvement, how to deepen our policy impact. So that's the role of this supervisory council. We've discussed at length during the meeting that we had on the sidelines of the financial summit of the next issues. And one of the issues also that we are going to push through those discussions is also, we are firm believer of what we call the cooperation within the global south. And we think that we have a lot to learn from our peers in many of these countries. So this year we made a focus on the financial industry in Brazil, with some of the best-in-class changes, whether it's in their fintech space, whether it's the digitalization of several leading banks, but also some of the issue you probably know of the PIX initiative that the Central Bank of Brazil has launched, where in 3-4 years they launched their own digital currency that is now used in 80% of transactions in Brazil at no cost, to the extent that Donald Trump asked his Secretary of Commerce to see how to sue Brazil, because it was a fight against the U.S. interest, because they basically have taken Visa and MasterCard out of the market. So that's a very funny take on this issue. But trying to get exchange with the global south, learning from our peers in countries that have a financial sector that is a little bit more advanced, will be also one of the way that our financial summit, that AFIS, will try to deepen policy reforms in the future.
All right. So artificial intelligence is on everyone's lips, but concretely, what are the real priorities for the African financial sector?
I think it has been clearly identified by our participants as a key lever of transformation, whether you talk about credit scoring, customizing financial products, using working on customer experience, working on fraud detection, cybersecurity, etc. So this is clearly a discussion that has been going on during the forum for 2 days. But most importantly, what it has enabled us to underline, innovation, as one of the participants said, is the icing on the cake. It's not the cake itself. The cake itself is our data, is our financial product, and more importantly is also our infrastructure. So one of the things that collectively we have identified and we want to push in the coming years is the need to stress the importance of having our own infrastructure, whether we're talking about data center, whether we're talking about energy production, and also more importantly about human resources to to leverage that AI for the future.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Yahmed, and we wish you a very successful summit. Thank you very much.